So I'm going to kick off. I have some amazing things to share with you all today. And I'm going to start off with a couple of videos that we have here. Let me see now. I'll just stop sharing for a moment. Hello. Hi. Let me switch up to the videos that we have planned today. Let's do that right now. Oh, and please everybody stay muted so we can all hear the beautiful music.
How do you find that state of mind, that feeling of flow, the lightning strike of inspiration? How can you manifest your ideas in an impactful way? To be creative is to be expressive in new ideas. Be a change maker, be it poetry, drone piloting, or teaching. Join us today to boost your creative streaks and to explore the quintessential essence of creativity. The Creativity Conference. Nurture your creative nature.
Wonderful. And yeah, I have a little surprise for everybody shortly as well. We'll be talking about our next event. So that's it. Welcome. Thanks for attending the keynote. See you later. I really just want to start off today by thanking everybody for joining us. You know, the whole point of a conference is that we have the opportunity to share ideas and inspiration and insights and perspectives with you. And so you are what makes the conference a conference. And I'm really grateful for everyone taking the time to attend and join with us and engage with the speakers. And I would encourage you as much as possible to turn on your cameras during the sessions so that the speakers really can feel your presence and be aware of you and engage, and in particular to connect with other attendees so that you can discover new inspiration and new potential collaborators. And we'll perhaps talk a bit more about that later on. This conference has been made possible by Dell Technologies, NVIDIA, and Intel supporting us. And without them, it would have been impossible for us to provide this for free. In fact, not only do you get access to all of these sessions, it's about 80 sessions over 3 days, completely for free, you also get access to the full library of replays after the event. So tell your friends to register. It's a huge amount of content. I think from our January conference, we ended up with a total of about 60 hours of content that everyone gets for free. And that's only possible because of the support for the arts and for creative technologies from those companies, from our sponsors. So I've got some amazing announcements to share with you all, and I'm going to give you my take on creativity and how important I think it is in a moment. But before I do that, I'd like to introduce you to Matt Allard. Matt is Director of Strategic Allegiance. Let me start again. Matt Allard, Director of Strategic Alliances at Dell Technologies. I'm going to bring him into the spotlight here. Hi, Matt. Thank you very much for joining us. And I just want to give Matt an opportunity to talk a little bit about his take on creativity and how technology fits into that whole thing. And so I'm going to take myself off the spotlight here for a moment, and over to you, Matt.
Thanks, Maxim. I appreciate that. It's really great to be here with Dell Technologies and our funding partners, NVIDIA and Intel. We really appreciate the opportunity to support the Creativity Conference and support what you're trying to do. I think a lot of folks that we interact with understand that there's an intersection between digital technologies and art and creativity. Certainly that's been the case for the last couple of decades, and it continues to change and evolve. And, we like to have a connection point. My area of Dell is kind of the compute area, workstations, and we know that there's so much that can happen with an individual and their workstation as a tool to support their artistic and creative endeavor. And I know I work with a lot of the folks that are actually speaking during Creativity Conference already, and have supported them as well in their efforts to kind of show their creative talent. So as a tool, obviously we think compute's really important, and having the right kind of tool, like the right paintbrush or the right camera, is one of those choices. And we think precision workstations with Intel processors and NVIDIA GPUs is a really great combination to enable whatever you want to express, whatever art you want to deliver. What I find really interesting, and this is something Maxim and I have talked about a little bit, is, I think it's pretty clear that creative pursuits like video and some graphics, photography have all really been digitalized over the last couple of decades. But I keep finding interesting the places where we find more and more digital tools being used. I actually think I told Maxim about this artist I saw, a glass artist, who was incorporating digital tools into this baked glass technique. They were drawing, scanning, laser etching with a flatbed laser etcher, and then baking glass with these amazing patterns. And to me, the kind of crossover of digital techniques into what is a very traditional art form that's been around thousands of years, I find just fascinating. That's an area that I really find cool. So I think, to me, the introduction of digital capabilities really can change the way, or bring new techniques to creativity and open up new horizons. And that's I think what a lot of this conference is intended to be, is to have conversations about how do you enable creativity, how do you expand the horizons of creativity. And I think there's all sorts of opportunity with these kinds of digital tools. With that, I will mention we're going to run a session with Stephen Burns. Hey, Stephen, tomorrow. So I hope you'll join that. We're going to talk a little bit about more of this idea of how digital can actually help in this creative process. And I will respond. There's one question there earlier about how you get companies like Dell, NVIDIA, and Intel to fund your event. Just approach us. Literally, you're welcome to approach me. I am open to these kinds of opportunities where they can help advance our interests. And obviously, we are interested in the topics around creativity and arts. So
great
with that,
cookies,
Maxim,
right? Great cookies helps. Yeah,
and great cookies. I'm staying off the cookies lately. So, but thank you. So thanks, Maxim. Appreciate the opportunity to play this role for Creativity Conference, and back to you.
Thank you so much, Matt. And I feel I ought to mention that the whole reason that we're running the conference online in the way that we are is that way back last year, Matt and I were talking about our original plans to run the conference in Iceland, and we couldn't do that because of the lockdowns. And it was Matt who said, well, if there was an online thing that we could maybe talk about supporting that. And that it was entirely down to Matt making that suggestion that we did all of the work and all of the research to run the conference in January and in this month in August. So I really I'm grateful, Matt, for your faith in what we're doing, but also your genuine support for creativity. You know, we've spoken many times about how impactful this stuff is, and
Yeah.
you're really, you know, you're doing good work there. It's really impactful. So thank you.
Well,
Thank you very much.
thanks for that, Maxim. And I think you should not take my interest in virtual events as a lack of interest in attending the event next year in Iceland. That's high on my list for next year. So.
Well, I'm very glad you mentioned it, because that is, I've just have some amazing news to share about that. So anyway, here's my virtual applause, Matt. Thank you very, very much for joining us. I'll take off that spotlight now. Okay, so while we're on the subject of thanks, I'd just like to take a moment to give thanks to the team that have worked so hard to develop this conference. My job for years now has been to pretend I know what I'm talking about, and sometimes it works. But we've got Robin, who's here, is our conference manager, without whom it would have been sheer mayhem. We have, so Robin Walters, we've got Aidan Rode, our assistant manager, who you can thank for a lot of the information you've received and the website updates that we've turned around so quickly. It's been so good. We've got our room hosts. So we've got Sarah, Natalie, John, and Maeve. Maeve you'll meet tomorrow. She's hosting room 4. And we also give a shout out also to Abby McGovern, who worked so hard in January getting the conference ready. She couldn't join us to work on it this time, but she's here in spirit. And also Maddie, who developed the event book, which I hope you've all discovered. We just added today. There's a downloadable event book on the schedule page with all the information about the conference. You know, they say it takes a village. And I think that's true. We really have been working as a team effort, and these guys are amazing professionals. One of the things that we've been working on, and we haven't been able to report publicly because we've just been working out the plans for it, is announcements for our Iceland conference. And, you know, the original genesis for the creativity conference was that we were going to meet in Reykjavik in Iceland. And as many of you would have heard me describe before, we actually got to the point where we had a buy button. You could click a button to book a ticket. We had the Reykjavik University booked in. We had the Ice Museum with the best dome cinema in Europe to have for our movie night. We're doing a film competition. We were planning interior garden spaces for meeting rooms. We have a Japanese designer working on a design already. Dance experiences, Tai Chi, yoga, meditation, 7 concurrent rooms, and a venue for our music night right in the middle of Reykjavik in Iceland. And 48 hours after the button was available, people started, yeah, thank you, Fiona. 48 hours before the conference, 48 hours after we had the ticket there, suddenly the pandemic hit and we had to switch to an online event. But I'm super excited to share the following video with you. We've been working so hard on this, and here we go. Let me make sure this is all set up and take a look at this. So you heard it here first. We actually now have a button on creativityconference.is. If you take a look at the website right now, you will find at the top of the screen, actually, I wonder if I can even show you on screen right now. Let me see if I can share this for everybody. We're so excited to invite you all to join us. Here we go. Let me see if I can get this to come up. If you now click Iceland in the menu, you might need to refresh the page. you will find this beautiful video. Many thanks to Ragnar, who's the official photographer for the Icelandic Tourist Board, who gave us access to his gorgeous media. Hats off to Aidan, who did the editing, and Nick Haroz of Creative 111, who did the final finishing for us. I pretended to be the director. You can see here all the information. Now, we have to charge for these tickets because the conference in Reykjavik has costs associated with it. We're giving buffet lunches, teas and coffees, snacks, some drinks and snacks in the evenings. We've got the Ice Museum for our movie night, where we'll be screening 1-minute films. We've got, you go through an ice tunnel to get into the place, best dome cinema in Europe. We've got, I think it's called Gambia, which is a venue right in the center of Reykjavik for our music night. On our music night, speakers who are musicians will be performing live, and on the closing night party in the same venue, we'll be having, yeah, John, extra batteries. We'll be having the same venue with lots of different creative performances and presentations. We've got the interior gardens planned. We're trying to see if we can arrange a Japanese foot spa during the conference. We don't know if we can do it yet, but we're trying. And so the full price for the tickets is $1,500 US, and just for the next 2 weeks, so it's actually my birthday on the 22nd of August. Just in case anybody has a spare Aston Martin, feel free. But we're running a massive discount for anybody that knows they want to come. And we have a cancellation policy and everything. You can cancel if you need to, but it's $900 US if you sign up by the 22nd. And so I would love to see you there. We've got a whole bunch of experiences. We're looking at planning. We're actually talking to the company that make the Voyager VR chairs, and they Positron. They're talking about bringing VR chairs and having VR experiences, and we're looking at building whole virtual reality rooms as well as the regular presentations. Plus, my plan is, and we haven't nailed this down yet, but my plan is, if people cannot get themselves to Reykjavik, you've got to pay for flights and accommodation and so on. If you can't afford to do that, my plan is, I think we're going to live stream every session, and the live streams, I think we can do it. I haven't confirmed we can do it yet, but hopefully they'll be completely free for anybody that can't make it to Reykjavik in person. So you can attend the conference for free, and then we'll work out something with the library later on. But that's the plan. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing you all in Iceland. And check out the page. And any thoughts or ideas you have, this is the time. We're 1 year out, and the conference next year is easy to remember. It's the 1st to the 3rd of August, 2022. I'm just so thrilled to be able to announce it. Literally about 40 minutes ago, we got confirmation that we could put that button on the website. So it's fresh off the press. Great. Okay, so now I wanted anybody that doesn't have their camera on, please feel free to turn your camera on so we can all see your beautiful faces. There we go, Teresa. Great. Yeah. George, fantastic. Hi. We organized the conference very carefully as Zoom meetings rather than Zoom webinars. And the reason is that we wanted everyone to be able to see each other and to allow everybody, you can see the people that are listening to you. It's really good for the speakers. It's also a little bit easier to interact. I wanted to take a few moments of your time to share with you now some thoughts from me as the founder of the Creativity Conference, the person who put this together with the team. Just some thoughts about creativity and approaches to it. The big challenge with a conference of this kind is, how do you serve every type of creative? How do you provide everybody with something interesting? And when we were talking, we've got, Sam Bregman working on our social media, and Jane and Dirk who are doing press releases and that kind of thing. Everyone is saying, well, who do you target? And my take on that is that actually, I think that I think that creativity is a universal characteristic that we tend to think of as being a specific skill, like painting a picture or designing a boat or building a house or something where, or a type of sculpture or dance performance or poetry. We tend to think of creativity as some classic art form. But I propose that actually, anytime you make an intentional decision, whether or not you have agency, right? Whether or not you have the means to act upon that decision. But when you truly commit to a decision, that is an act of creation. And it could be that you are choosing what to have for lunch. And you might think, well, what's the big deal? It's just lunch. But by choosing one lunch rather than another, you are establishing a future that would not have existed before. It turns out it's actually really difficult to do anything truly randomly. There's a fantastic app you can get that's connected to a particle accelerator somewhere. And you press a button and it does A or B based on the closest thing we have to a random outcome. And it animates the whole thing. And apparently it really is a particle being shot in a particle accelerator, because we can't think of any better way to make things truly random. Nothing that you do is truly random. In fact, by definition, chaos is only truly chaos if order emerges from it. And so if you find yourself moved in a particular direction, you find yourself compelled, and ideally for no particular reason, like you didn't just see a poster of a beach and think, oh, I should have a holiday. You didn't have a conversation about an old friend and wonder what happened to them. But instead, you're just walking along and suddenly you feel yourself thinking, I should do this thing. I should walk into that shop. I should paint another picture, and this should be the composition. In my experience, that's your non-conscious mind sidestepping the veil between consciousness and the non-conscious total mind that you have. And you should really pay attention to that stuff, because in my experience, it's usually important and it's usually worthwhile. But in order for you to trust that decision, you've got to feel safe. And the only way for you to feel safe making a decision and taking action upon it is to trust yourself. Yes, Jay, intuition. That's right. In my view, that's what intuition is. But you need to trust that when you place yourself in a new situation, and that new situation could be something as simple as, what are you having for lunch? Some new dish you've never tried before, or it could be that you're going to work as a painter with a medium you don't know, or a poetic form, a structure that you haven't tried before. Whatever it is, you need to trust that you will keep yourself safe throughout the process. Now, creativity is an iterative process. One of my favorite quotes is that the difference between the teacher and the student is that the teacher has failed more times than the student has tried. And I love that quote, because it takes away this idea of success and failure that we have throughout our lives as we're attempting to socialize and be accepted and be considered acceptable within our social groups. But if you take away the idea that the goal of any creative act, whether it's cooking a new dish or painting a wall a different color or choosing to speak in a different way, then if you take that away and instead see it as an opportunity for new experiences, suddenly the creative process stops being something that you can be judged for, and it becomes living itself. My favorite creative form is Dadaism. And one of my favorite examples of Dadaism is somebody whose creative act was to eat spiders and swear and say bad words to strangers in the street. And there's a beautiful film you can find online of people who are Dadaists running in slow motion down the street, and they've got wires in their scarves and things to make them look like the wind is caught in their clothes. And there are all these passers-by just watching them moving at full speed, wondering what's going on. And it's Dadaism, because they decided that that intentional act was a creative one. Now, the word decide in English comes, I understand, from the Latin decide, which means to cut off. And my take on my interpretation of this word decide is that you only truly make a decision when you completely remove every other option as an outcome. Now, to take the lunch example, you might decide, you know what, I'm going to have avocado toast. I haven't had avocado toast for a long time. Today, it's going to be avocado toast. But you only really make the decision when you fully let go of every other possible lunch option. Or let's say, you know, you're a painter and you've always been painting landscapes, and one day you decide, you know, I think I'm going to have a go at portraits. I think I'm going to go for it with portraits and try that. But then you realize that you've never tried portraits before, and you're not sure if you've really got the skill, and will people judge you, and will it be a failure? Yes, it absolutely will be a failure. Of course it will. It's your first portrait. Breathe. You know, you're not supposed to be an expert portraiture artist the very first time that you do it. Yes, it'll probably be awful. And won't it be wonderful learning? The question is, are you fully committed and fully ready to let go of painting landscapes? Are you going to sneakily put a landscape in the background? No. Commit to the decision. Make sure that you have no other outcomes in mind and just paint the portrait. If you've never written a haiku before, don't try to write multiple haikus like verses in a poem. No, it's just a haiku. Let go of every other possible outcome. And there are two important principles at work here, I think, for creatives. The first is, it's okay to look at how you are in this moment and realize that you've kept yourself safe until now. You have successfully eaten food, slept, drunk water, had experiences, and every day you manage to get up in the morning, do some stuff, and go to sleep again. So you can trust yourself now, right? You can trust that you're going to keep yourself safe. And yes, you made some decisions that turned out not to be ideal in terms of outcomes, but my goodness, the gifts those experiences gave you, the ways in which those experiences changed you, the suffering you had that gave you the empathy for other people's suffering, the failure you had that taught you, oh yeah, I should probably turn the kettle on before hoping the water will boil, otherwise I'm never going to get my cup of tea. Those failed experiences all prepare you for the next step. So trust yourself to keep yourself safe. But the other important principle at work is that I have this theory that we don't really know what's going on. We don't really know what's happening around us right now. The brain is filtering everything out consciously. We're getting a very limited amount of information about what's going on around us. We've got limited memory. We don't remember exactly what happened in the past, and we're imagining the future. We're not really sure about much of anything. In fact, if you've heard of solipsism or existentialism, you know, you're pretty sure you exist, but what you are, who knows? And if you're a gamer, it's pretty terrifying. If you're familiar with the simulation theory, the ancestor simulation theory, we could be non-player characters in this simulation. So what do we do? What can we do that we're sure of? And there's actually just one thing, in my opinion, that we can be sure of beyond existing, and that is our intentions. So once you've chosen an intention, you've committed to it and made it part of you, that intention becomes part of your identity. So when you're at school and you say to the teacher, you're going to do your homework, do you really intend to do your homework? Because if you really intend to, you actually will. And everyone's probably heard that phrase about the work fills the available time. It's an absolute truism. Absolutely. When you have a limited amount of time, you will fill that time. It doesn't matter whether it's a week, 3 weeks, or a month. You will fill that time. Do you intend to use that time effectively, or do you sort of generally kind of intend to probably get around to it at some point when you've finished browsing the internet and having another cake? Whatever it is, only you know really what your intentions are. And I don't think there's any part of ourselves that can be meaningfully judged. You're allowed to say cake. What? Who said cake? Cake's important. Cake's very important. But nobody can know your intentions. They can know your actions and your behavior. You know, do you act weird with people, or are you generally nice? You know, do you offer people cake with their tea? It's very important. But also, you know, you can't really know whether the outcomes of your decisions are going to work or not in the way that you expect. And then providing you with outcomes that are unexpected is not the same thing as failure. whatever creative project you're working on, whether that creative project is a painting or a relationship or raising a child or developing a training course or planning on when you're going to have naps, only you can't really tell what the outcomes are going to be, but only you know what you truly intended. And if you want to streamline your intentions, get into the habit of actually deciding. That's my number one tip. Get into the habit of letting go of every outcome. And if you find there's an outcome that you can't let go of, other than the one that you want, think about that. Maybe there's a reason why you're struggling to let go, and honor that and listen to it. Lots of you have probably heard me speak a few times about the value of pain and how we tend to avoid it, and the importance of allowing the pain that you experience. Just briefly, I want to mention that we live in a culture where failure is often considered almost a synonym with pain. And we live in a culture where any form of suffering is considered unacceptable. And primarily, we're nurtured by our culture to avoid suffering, not necessarily to prevent it or ameliorate it, but instead to avoid it and not think about it and not engage with it. I think this is really short-sighted. The truth is, I think, that pain is a messenger, whether it's physical or emotional. And the more we can have the courage to listen to the messenger and really understand the message that it's providing us with, the more we can find out what's wrong and heal it. So if you've got a cut on your arm, pay attention to the cut. It needs washing and dressing. If you're upset because you embarrassed yourself in a social situation and you wish that you hadn't done it, what exactly is that upset? What exactly is that pain? What exactly is it telling you about how you feel, about how important it is for you to be accepted socially? And how could you have approached it differently? Very often you could not. And then you realize, oh, what do you know? I was just doing my best. What were my intentions? To get on with everybody and have a nice time and present myself in a positive light. Why did I fail? Oh yeah, I wasn't paying attention when I picked my nose, and everyone laughed at me, or I farted, or I made that rude joke that my uncle says sometimes. And whatever it is, don't judge outcomes, judge your intentions. Were you really intending to be a good person and to be kind and to be friendly and warm and reassuring for people? If that was your intention, what else have you got to judge? Learn from the experience, identify your triggers, and grow. That's the gift of the pain. But if you ignore the pain, if you won't engage with it at all, it'll just keep banging on the door. It'll be an unclosed loop, and you can spend decades carrying the burden of something that you haven't resolved. And this applies absolutely to creative work. Da Vinci, I think it was Da Vinci said, true art is never completed, only abandoned. There has to come a point where you realize, you know what, I tried this thing, and it's the trying that is the thing. It's the trying that is the creative act. And it worked out this way, not that way. Interesting. Not woe is me, but interesting. So have some faith in it. Now, last thing I want to say before I tell you about another awesome thing and we move on with the second half of our day. You know, life is hard. Life is really, really hard. And only because we want things. I think that, you know, as they say, you can fail at what you don't like doing. You might as well try and fail at what you love. You may as well live in your dreams and really decide. Don't decide to try and achieve them. Decide to achieve them, which is an iterative, ongoing process of development and growth. And it's usually teamwork. As Noam Chomsky said, I think, there's nothing we've achieved as a species, nothing major, that was ever achieved by a single person. It was always collaborative. We're intrinsically collaborative. And I want to encourage you to reach out to one another, join the creative community, which is completely free. We've mentioned it in all the newsletters and information. Find future collaborators, be inspired by one another. And I want to give you my last quote, possibly my favorite quote I read on the internet, and someone probably wrote it somewhere. And that is that we are not meant to arrive serenely at the grave. We're meant to arrive skidding and crashing across the ground, sliding into our grave, covered in cuts and bruises, saying, wow, what an amazing ride. It's okay to fail. It's probably the only way to succeed. So that's my spiel. Now, as a conference, we are, and thank you for listening, everybody. As a conference, we are supporting a fantastic charity, two charities actually, Artists United, who provide networking opportunities for a whole range of artists. Check out their website, the link is on our homepage. Absolutely wonderful organization. We're also supporting the charity Awareness Ties. Now, Awareness Ties have we're big supporters of them. They have a campaign at the moment called Selfie to Support, and I'd like to invite you to participate in this campaign. It's a social impact campaign to raise awareness for causes through selfies and through stories. Basically, you upload a selfie, and in doing so, you raise awareness about the cause that you care about, that you're committed to. So each selfie and story shared helps support the causes that are important to lots of different people. And every month, Awareness Ties are putting a selection of selfies in their Aware Now magazine. This is a really great online magazine I'd encourage you to sign up to. They have about 16 or 18 million readers every month already. It's online, it's free. And if you share your selfie and story on the website, there's a chance to win an Awareness Ties symbol t-shirt, and they have a whole table of causes. I'd like to just play for you a brief video that we have. I hope I've got this queued up. Let me check that I have. Yes. Okay. Check it out. We have the technology. All right. So this is a very brief video that introduces their campaign that we're just huge supporters of. So I will play this for you now. Oh, let me move this off screen first of all. If it'll let me, let's see if it'll work. There we go.
We are aware. Now is the time to come together. Each of us has a cause we're tied to, and each of our causes are tied together by one cause that unites us all, the human cause. Awareness Ties is proud to present the table of causes, building blocks for raising awareness and support for the causes that tie us together. As we explore the science of our humanity, one cause and one story at a time, we share what makes us human. You are invited to share your selfie and your story to show support for your cause. Together, we are aware now.
Wonderful. So absolutely a wonderful charity, and I really encourage you to check it out. We have the link on the homepage of our website right now, so please check it out. Now, we have two more little things for you in our keynote, and they're both, I've often joked that in Britain, we don't say the word awesome very often. What we say, the equivalent for us is perfectly acceptable. So I've got two perfectly acceptable things to share with you now. The first is a raffle prize. So now let's see, where's Aidan here? There we are, Aidan. I'm going to add Aidan to our spotlight. Hello, Aidan.
Hello.
Now, many of you will have been receiving emails and messages from Aidan. Here he is. Aidan's been working on the conference for quite some time and will be with us, I hope, in Iceland, and is shockingly professional. And Aidan's here to announce the first of our raffle prizes. Over to you, Aidan.
Thank you. Well, as Maxim said, one of my roles in the conference is running the raffles. And this keynote has the first raffle of the conference. Raindance Film Festival, who are one of the conference's partners, have given us £3,000, $1,400 Raindance education vouchers to give away as raffle prizes. They have a myriad, plethora, smorgasbord even of amazing filmmaking courses on their website, raindance.ac.uk. And all registers attendees of the Creativity Conference will receive a discount code after the conference is over to get a discount on some of these courses. Thank you, Raindance, for their support, and make sure to attend tomorrow's keynote, where Raindance founder Elliot Grove will be speaking ahead of his session that afternoon. On with the raffle. One of the vouchers is being given away right now, and the other two will be somewhere else in the conference. So make sure you attend live sessions and look out for that. While Maxim was talking, I did a truly random name selector with a particle accelerator involved with one of the attendees in this room. And I can share my screen to reveal that the winner is Eli Rooney. So congratulations.
Hey,
And
congratulations, Eli.
Eli, if you can send me a direct message in the chat with your email, and I can get in touch about you getting this voucher. Well done. I will stop sharing and hand back over to Maxim.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Aidan. That is awesome. And Eli, you'll notice in the chat, there's an option you can specify who you're sending a message to. There's a little menu at the bottom. So just choose Aidan. Oh, Aidan, yeah, you're there as co-host. So just choose Aidan and send him a message. And if we lose you, send an email and we'll follow up with you by email. Thank you very much, Aidan. Right, now one more thing to see. I've even got my polo neck on here. One more thing to share with you, which is Jeff Greenberg, who is absolutely fantastic being who may not be from this planet, who does 1,000 things and is just amazing. He's speaking for the conference and he's running a competition for people to contribute short films. And rather than explain the competition to you, I'm going to play you his intro video right now. So let's take a look at this. This is fantastic. Let me see if I can pull this off screen first. Okay.
Hello, Creativity Conference. My name's Jeff Greenberg, and I'm inviting you to take a chance with some fearless creativity and come and join me in a 15-second filmmaking workshop. You see, the camera in your pocket is better than what I used in film school, and it's giving us unparalleled freedom in storytelling. A story is merely about 5 to 7 shots, more or less. A beginning, a middle, and an end. If you choose to do this, I'm going to tell you just to follow your instincts. Worry about the length later. Creativity is the key here. You try an idea. I'd like to show you an example.
Cut! Look, actors, it's real simple. From there to there, there to there. Like that, okay? You're just going like that. Camera.
Rolling.
Sound.
Rolling.
And action.
That's the cut.
Back to one, back to one.
You see, the beautiful thing here is you're working with a net. Failure is okay. If you fail, just don't show the work. It's a writer's prompt. It's meant to practice the art, not perfect it. It's about trying a mini story. Biggest thing is not to censor yourself. It's about iteration. Never forget you learn from failure. And again, if you really hate it, don't submit it. The most common questions people have, well, they start with the time. The length ideally is about 15 to 45 seconds, and 30 is about the average. I've seen longer, and going over a minute hurts. The key is to play inside of this constraint. Use any tools that you have access to. But if you haven't really done this sort of work before, I highly recommend either Adobe Rush, which works cross-platform mobile and desktop, or iMovie. And the reason I like both of these tools is they've got a lot of really smart automatic fixes for audio. Speaking of audio, music is always an issue. Can you use commercial music? Yeah, but if you choose to ever post this anywhere, it's going to get flagged. Now, I've got a web page set up for you with resources right here. And I've got a couple other links that I'll show you at the end. Speaking of which, here are the submission details. It's due Monday, August 8th. That gives you the weekend. There's the submission link, bit.ly/15SEC info. Whatever tool you're using, you pick a share format that's optimized for YouTube or an iPad or iPhone. And again, I'd rather see you try and fail. If you have any questions, you can reach me at 15seconds at J Greenberg Consulting. Let's do one more piece of inspiration.
$6.40.
Daddy, you push me. Good daddy. Good daddy.
So here's your recap. It's 15 to 45 seconds with a max at 1 minute. Depending on the submissions, some may be screened at the end of this event. A free screening workshop will be announced to the people who choose to participate. We'll do some one-on-one and some group screening about a week from now. There's the resources page. There's the submission page. If you have questions, you can reach me at 15 seconds at J. Greenberg Consulting. And as a final thought, I'll tell you the same thing I tell filmmakers. The act of trying is more important than success. Good luck in creating.
Right.
Hello, Creativity Conference.
Oh,
My name's
okay. That's plenty of Jeff. Fantastic. Isn't that amazing? So, go for it. Submit. Jeff is speaking at the conference, and you can check in with him, ask him questions along the way. All that remains for me to do now is thank you all again. You are what's making this conference possible. Please share. There's still time for people to join us. And as we mentioned before, everyone who registers during the conference still will get access to the full library of presentations after the event. Now, the next sessions that we have coming up are amazing. We've got Michael Bernier, who's going to be talking about the nature of creativity. Hey, Michael, I see you there. We've got Richard Kruger talking about art in the age of spectacle. And we have Louisa Winters and Mike Sobola speaking about creative drone shots and how to get them. Today, it's 3 rooms. Tomorrow and Friday, it's 4. And once again, thank you to the team. Thank you to Dell Technologies, NVIDIA, and Intel. And I wish you all a fantastic and creative afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us.